perhaps wise to talk about voter suppression a little bit. We did talk about it already, voter education. Um, this is an issue that doesn't affect you and I as much. It really does affect African Americans, and they are targeted. And I think that's one thing that has to be acknowledged. It's personal. It is designed specifically to shut them out of the voter process. It's hard to ask a question about that. I mean, it's, how do you empathize? How do you prioritize? And how do you understand that it's really critical? So what can you say on those issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we are in Georgia. We are a deep South state. We're a former Confederate state. We are a state that under the Voting Rights Act was subject to preclearance until the Shelby versus Holder decision of the 2014-2015 timeframe. So we have a history in Georgia, and it is a fact, and we need to acknowledge it. And that is that we, for years and years and years, had Jim Crow laws that were designed to keep Black people from voting, because Black people in Georgia and other states like Georgia have always had numbers. And so we had to come up with ways in a one person, one vote country to undermine the influence that they rightfully should have had from the very beginning. So, that might be a poll tax, that might be a literacy test, count the jelly beans in the jar kind of stuff, whatever it was. That's our history. And the unfortunate part of this is that the Supreme Court said in the Shelby versus Holder decision, that's over. That's all in our past. So we don't need to keep an eye on states with this history. And so as a result, did away with preclearance. So now if we want to close a certain number of precincts, or if we want to, close a precinct in a majority Black county or whatever it is, we can do that without that federal oversight. And, that federal oversight is what finally ushered us out of that history of having the laws on the books. Doesn't mean it fixed everything, but so that is really unfortunate. And I think we have seen in the years since Shelby that we weren't really as far along as we would have liked to have seen. There are still so many ways that we communicate that voting isn't for everybody. I've done hundreds of hours of voter protection work. I did it for the first time in 2008 during President Obama's first election. He was making a real pitch to returning citizens to make sure they knew if you were off papers, you can vote. You have just as much right to vote as anybody else. So, that's something I saw firsthand during that election, registering voters and poll watching. I think we need to talk a little bit about the Southern strategy and, the transformation of the Republican Party. Republican Party in the era of Lincoln was on the side of bringing Black Americans into full participation. And so that switched. So, so much of what forms the modern day Republican strategy has echoes of that period in our past. And so, and this ties into the broader point of like, if a party is not opening up its tent and trying to bring more people in, then the only way really left to hang on to power is to make it hard for the people you're not inviting in to vote. So that's a long way of saying all that in terms of history. I am going to every corner of this district. This is my community. This is my home. I am talking to folks in every single neighborhood in this district, and they care about voting rights. That is, they understand it's fundamental. They understand, Black voters in my district understand that there are folks who don't want them to vote. And, I think it just makes them more determined to do that. So, I'm a big believer that there are policy goals that elevate us all, and voting is one of those. And when we all vote, we get other policy objectives that elevate us all. So, the only way to build power as Democrats is to build a big tent, set a longer table, bring everybody in. And, that's really just the only way to counter the other side.
Mhm.